number one thing you have to have when you're talking about transformation is patience. If you cannot endure long suffering, if you can't have the type of vision that Martin Luther King had when he was quoting Moses, all right, and saying, I may not get there with you, but I know where we're going, I know what it looks like. That's the kind of mentality I have to have. I will continue to push, I will continue to teach, and it will be a slow process. I'm well aware of that.
Contrary to what most people think, I think it was something like 64% of the arrests in North Lawndale for drug crimes. So I think everybody thinks it's, like there's just a mass amount of shootings and violent crimes going on, but it's a lot of drugs. It's a lot of drugs. But what we know is that there's a lot of drugs in every neighborhood. At some point, we've got to scratch our head and say, why are we incarcerating so many black people and brown people? Why is that? I mean, do we really believe that they're the only ones committing crime?
What do you want it to come back to? Who we give it to?
It'll circle back somehow.
Okay, all right. I want to call out the name of my cousin Ricky, who's 19 years old, incarcerated for marijuana charges.
We call your name.
I'm not a leader that leads through the pulpit. I lead through action. And so I'm taking pictures, I'm being involved because I want my congregation to realize that Christ has called us. Like, this is the responsibility of the church to be actively involved in systemic change.
We on the free side. What side are you on, my people? What side?
I didn't get any of my congregants to come. Sometimes you just have to remind yourself that God uses the remnant. When he was talking about Gideon fighting the Midianites, he told them, slice your numbers down as small as you can get, and then I'll provide victory. That's kind of the way I believe God works. He wants to get all the glory, so he wants things to start off small.
Random way.
Pastor just coming to me and saying, man, it's time for me to go. I feel like this is yours. And I told him, well, you're thinking wrong, because I'm not trying to be a pastor. I'm good. He said, well, I'll give you a week to think about it, because next week I'm leaving. I already accepted another church. About 4 or 5 weeks later, Mother's Day morning, I was ready. I had my suit on. I had practiced my good black preacher preaching and hooping and all the good stuff it was going to take. And my mom was out there. I was going to make her proud and everything. And then right when I was about to get up to preach, one of the young men in the back of the church got called outside by a friend of his. As I'm stepping back up to preach, as soon as he steps on the porch, a group of guys jump up on the porch of the church and start to beat him down, like going at him on Sunday morning. I was like, oh, I'm the only one that's seeing this. Everybody's looking at me. And so I yell, somebody stop, everybody turns around. All the guys in the church stand up and run to the back. And the full-out melee starts on the step.
Are incarcerated in any way.
I said, God, what do you want me to say? What do you tell people at this moment? What, God loves us, Happy Mother's Day? What am I supposed to say? And to this day, I don't remember what I said, but I know it had to sound something like, why is that okay? Like, what just happened here?
I like to say the Lord's Prayer, but thine is the kingdom and the glory.
I wrote a document called Why Change, Why Now? And I distributed it to every member of the congregation. I told them in the year 2010, that's beginning January 2011, we were going to be making a transformation of the name. We're going to be leaving the Baptist denomination for the purpose of not saying that Baptist is wrong, but of saying that we want to be open to anyone who understands that God loves community. I think the black church now is missing the mark because we haven't expressed or haven't kind of really forced people to realize that the mass incarceration issue affects us all. Like, there's no way to say it's their problem. I can ask any congregation on any given Sunday to raise your hand if you know someone or have a relative who is incarcerated right now or has been incarcerated or is going through some kind of, or been affected by the war on drugs. And every single person will raise their hand. I can guarantee you every single person. And yet we will still say it's not our issue.
How many of you know that you can have powder cocaine and you can have crack cocaine, same substance except you add baking soda and water. And you can get 25 years for crack cocaine.
The 4 levels I consider are, first is trying to be involved in the community. So in terms of the criminal justice system, we say it this way. The best way to keep kids out of the juvenile justice system is to never get them involved in the first place. The second level for us is just the notion of trying to work with families or individuals who are affected by the criminal justice system. Third level is this notion that you have to work intimately with those within the system. And then this last level, which is, to me, probably the most lacking of all, but the one that's the most important, is to be a part of systemic change. It's recognizing that I can work on that grassroots level with the individual, go into the prisons, work with the families, all those different things. But am I really fixing anything if I never go and deal with the issues that caused this in the first place?
The main thing is somebody in their family is incarcerated, and what they do is sign up with Chaplain Corey to be in the program. So we are the Inglewood district.
Hello. Morning.
So we go out, talk to them, listen to them if they, like down or frustrated or whatever. Then we pray with them, let them talk their frustrations out.
Also, Father, yes. In Jesus' name, hallelujah, amen.
Amen. Usually when the family member is released, that, even though it's like in the middle of the 12 weeks, we'll finish them for 12 weeks, and then Chaplain Corey will give us 4 or 5 more other families that's in Inglewood.
Lawndale Christian Legal Center provides holistic legal services for youth and young adults 24 years old and younger. What is oftentimes called criminal or felonious behavior here is misconduct elsewhere, is growing pains, is part of maturity. It's not it's not criminalized, it's not demonized, it's not you're a danger to society, it's you're a young person developing and growing. And that's not the mentality when it comes to kids in this community. It's you're a danger to society. We need to lock you up to prevent you from doing bad in your future and to the community.
Those kids who are on the cusp of whether I want to kind of follow the streets or whether I want to try to stay in school, all those things, the police can push you one way really quickly. You make a decision, I'm going to try, and then you get pulled over anyway. You make a decision that you're not going to be out there on the corner, and then on your way from school, you get searched anyway. You start to ask questions like, what's the point?
If you ask any of the teens, if you could ask any of the teens, they do not like the cops at all. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and they feel like everybody is against them. Everybody. They don't trust us when they come into this program until they realize that we're not against them. It's a big trust thing. So they don't trust the law. They don't trust authority.
What the county, Cook County, has done is try to get a program together. They want to work with what they call faith-based organizations. And what their purpose was to help cut the recidivism in the juvenile detention center.
They're constantly saying, I see this, or I see that. Jared, I want people to say, I see a lawyer.
Gang activity and drugs are probably the 2 main culprits. You have some thievery, things like that, joyriding and stuff like that comes down. But most of the teens most of the referrals that we get are usually gang-related crimes or drug-related crimes.
7 additional years of school to become an attorney.
To the Cook County's credit, they wanted to come up with something where they can get kids out of that system. Because usually once you go in one of those detention centers, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to come out, peaceful and, okay, let's do something good.
Move is a small part of their life that it seems like people are very concerned. A small part. But the people that actually have power, they feel like don't help them.
We're not employed by the county or by the government, if you will. We have much more in common with the minors that come in instead of with the actual government.
So the next time something comes up, I know that I'll have more support. I'm not worried about it. I was there, so we was there. Amen? I was there, so we was there.
I'm encouraged by recently learning that really civil rights movement was done by some accounts, basically about 1,000 people that really worked hard toward it. And the pictures that we have of like the March on Washington, where there's 200,000+ people, was really makes us think that so many people rallied behind this.
I want my church to grab hold, but I won't wait for them. I won't wait for them. There are enough people who are not members here, who may not be members of anybody's church, who will be willing to go. And I'll go with them, and I'll drag my folk along. Come on, we're going. The people that are here because they believe in justice. They're here because they know that this is the right thing to do. The question is, are you willing to sacrifice some of your life to see someone else's life be better? And that's where the struggle comes in. It's not the notion of, is this the right thing to do? They have no qualms with that. They know this is the right thing to do. The question is, how do I make room in my life to actually be concerned about somebody else's issues?